Of the 8 rounds that Shimon has raced in, he's won 7 of them. It's been looking like nobody can stop him this season. However, as the old saying goes, it ain't over till it's over. So will Tomasz wrap it up today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Peter Mackay. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Road Atlanta is more used to hosting the season finale for sports cars, but I'm sure it can fit the bill today for open wheelers. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curbing lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track. Now, while this track was around in the age of the Lotus 79, unfortunately, it did not see the car actually compete here. And while I would have liked to see that, Peter, at least we get the virtual version. What are the cars, do you think, going to be, what are they going to be like here today at this short track?
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to see these Lotus 79 machines being let loose on a virtual Road Atlanta. And I think the main section the drivers are going to have to be so precise is the first opening 2 sectors from turn 1 right through the S's down the hill and then into turn 5, which is going to be a real point of danger because, of course, these Lotus 79 machines have ground effect aerodynamics. So keeping the floor in good condition is very, very important. But at turn 5, that left-hander at the bottom of the hill is a really big curb that the drivers have got to be super careful about. The other opportunity as well is when you come down the very, very long back straight into turn 10A and 10B, a chicane complex that was built in 1997. There's an excellent opportunity for making a move on the brakes. So I think we could be in for a tight race today, Joe.
Well, let's hope so, at least up at the front, because as we take a look at the championship, unfortunately, on the way in, it was a question mark. Now it is no longer. Shimon has arrived here, and it is the top split, but there are not enough cars that he will be able to fail to score points that would net him the championship. Essentially, Gernot Frisch is mathematically eliminated even before the green flag drops here. Still, we got some battles behind them. You see Bycroft and Seppa only split by 10 points, so that third spot on the points podium is still up for grabs. And the Martin Granberg, who had a great start to the season with a win, has since, or not with a win rather, but early in the season with a win, has since fallen well down into 5th position. Now, what about the teams championship here in that CTC, Peter?
Well, who would have thought 2 points separate Scuderia Ferrari and John Player Team Lotus. It's like being back in the 1970s, of course. John Player Team Lotus was the official colours of the Lotus 79 when it launched in 1978. The Shadow Racing team are up in third, so a good couple of rounds for those guys to progress a couple of places. Equipe Renault Elf are in fourth, and Marlboro Team McLaren round out the top 5.
And of course, for today's event specifically, we are in the finale. 36 laps that they're going to be running around here, and it's open setup, especially with how the two halves of this track differ. Be curious to see who sets up which way on the downforce and the top speed. And there you can see they can get some penalties that will cause them either a drive-through or a complete disqualification before all is said and done. Now, Shimon is on our provisional pole. In fact, he just snatched it back from Rinna, who briefly was up at the top. We're waiting for Freisha to take his second lap. And again, unfortunately, the championship, which would have been up for grabs had we had more car, is no longer able to be. But if they had enough, Freisha's only hope would have been to grab the pole and the fastest lap. He needed those bonus points and the win to overtake Tomasz. And I guess at this point it's going to be now down to pride, Peter.
Yeah, this has got a real last day of school feel to it, where the drivers can throw caution to the wind and just go for that win. Great to see Oskari Rinna back with us and qualifying just a tenth of a second away from Tomasz Simon at this point. And we know that there's a bit of a rivalry between those guys, and maybe if they start battling early on, that might bring some other characters into the fray. But let's get Gernot Freisha over the line for his second flying lap. He just misses out on improving his lap time.
So we switch to Trangrade, who looks like he's done. He's had both of his laps, so he's just going to head on in. Don't need to really practice pit entry, as there's no scheduled stops here today. Paul Williams has not put one on the board. He missed his first lap, must have had an off track. Second one is a 1:10.3. That'll put him into 18th. I think we'll only have one car that did not set a time, and that's Miguel A. Alcalde. Now, if you want to follow along with us and we don't have your favorite driver on the screen at the time, check out gsrc.tv, where we've got all the live timing and scoring you could want. You can follow any of our 20 drivers that are competing here today at any point in the race. Peter, it's looking like pretty ideal conditions, thankfully, out there, as only 74 Fahrenheit on the track surface.
And that's quite unusual here. It can get quite hot at certain times here in Brazelton, Georgia. Based in Hall County, they actually cut the circuit here out of red Georgia clay when it was built in the early 1970s. So, yeah, that is going to be perfect for the drivers. We know that the drivers don't necessarily need to worry about tyre wear too much over this race distance. So we could see some super quick lap times going in towards the end of the race when the fuel load comes down a bit more.
Even though we've got only 20 cars here, so a slightly smaller field with this top split, Peter, the laps, as we saw in qualifying, less than a minute 10 for the majority of them. I mean, what do you think that's going to mean for the traffic here today, especially since you talked about how much precision is needed in that first half of the lap?
Well, I think the very fastest guys will be very relieved to see that we've got a lower grid number than normal, because now sometimes we can get nearly 40 cars in one entire split, which is usually a bit of a nightmare. We saw that at Zolder last week, actually. But now that we've got the top 20, you're really talking about 20 of the very hottest drivers in this car in the world. So I think that the fast guys will be glad about that, because the disparity in lap time between the front and the back of the field is going to be a lot less than it might otherwise have been. So we see here at the Petit Le Mans multi-class sports car race that coming down the S's, the slower GT cars can often be quite an impediment for the prototypes. So although the disparity in lap time is not that much, I think the guys at the front are going to be delighted that they're going to hopefully have a clear run from lights to flag.
And I can tell you that the disparity in times is only about 2 seconds as we take a look at our qualifying times now. Tomasz Simon puts it on the pole with Oskari Rinna starting in second. It is Emil Bernstorff in P3 and Jukka Tolinen in fourth. Gernot Frische starts from P5 to his outside of be Nicola Kochi. Nicola's been quick recently, but not here today compared to previous rounds. Severi Seppa starts in 7th, and Timo Karjalainen will be P8. Then Tobias Gerber joins us from the Camel Series. He'll start from 9th, and Michael de Turk will be in P10.
Starting 11th on the grid today is one of our Grand Prix Legends stars from our Saturday Lotus 49 series, Ovi Trengerade. He'll start from 11th, and Juan Bustamante will join him on the 6th row. Row 7 sees Alessandro Parigi and Andreas Henkel, and row 8 will be Dennis Shanning and Xavier Sanchez. Alexis Tapia Vico starts 17th, and Paul Williams will roll off from 18th. And rounding out the top 20 is Timothy Reed and Miguel Alcalde.
Now, this is a North American track, and over here we don't often see series that have standing starts. As such, the start actually curves around the final corner, so going to be a bit tricky for a few of our drivers as we see them now lining up on the grid and just waiting on about half a dozen more to make their way out there. They could be making some final tweaks before they feel like they are good to go today. 36 laps that they are going to compete in for round 12, the season finale here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And since the championship has already been decided in favor of Tomasz Simon, can Gernot Frische finally beat him on track? He hasn't done so yet this season. Lights are up. And it was a long hold, but the green flag is out. Oh my goodness, it's a horrible start from Ascari Rinna. He's being swamped by both second and third place as Gernot Frische and the likes of Emil Bernstorff are able to get outside of him. Just slipping through the inside of turn 1. He tries to advance past Frische, but isn't successful. Everybody else heading through turn 3. Little slip up from somebody, but I don't see any major incidents.
Tell you what, great manners there from all the drivers, just taking it nice and easy. It's such a classic mistake to get caught up in those snaking S's at Road Atlanta on cold tyres. Of course, no warm-up lap for the drivers, so the tyres are starting absolutely ice cold. Also the brakes as well. So the drivers, that just shows you just the quality in this field, I think, Joe.
We're watching them come down the backstretch, and look at the gap that Shimon has already pulled. 8/10 over Emil Bernstorff, so he's put himself decently clear, but it seems the 5 still pulling a little bit of that draft on him, and gains a 10th or 2 as they all break down into the final chicane in anger for the first time. Not much in the way of side-by-side action into there. Everybody kind of settling in early.
Yeah, interesting to see a lot of the drivers just bedding it in gently here, which is very, very wise, I would say, because, of course, with such a short lap, you will need at least one full lap of the circuit to get those tyres right up to the best of their temperature. But Gernot Frische, he's holding third. Rinna from the front row of the grid back to 4th position, so I'll keep an eye on Ascari and see if he can move back forward again, because at the moment Tomasz Simon is just checking out, and it didn't appear to me there, Joe, that the drivers were getting much of aerodynamic draft benefit going down the back straight.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by that. These things tend to punch a pretty decent hole in the air since they have 70s aerodynamics on them. As we look farther back, Karjalainen in a nice little fight here, trying to see if he can get by 12th. Bustamante up in front of him. He's definitely going to get a slipstream. Pokes his nose to the right-hand side, which is the outside of the first apex. He's going to have to get it done by that second one and get the launch off. Can he do it? He's a little bit stronger on the brakes as they weave into their battle behind them as well. That's Henkel, who gets by Shaney, and a successful pass for Henkel as well as Timo.
Look at that lap time from Tomasz Simon on a full tank of fuel, 1 minute 10.2. That is absolutely extraordinary, and already opening up a 1.3 second advantage in the lead from Bernstorff. We ride on board with Ascari Rinna, and that gives us a great impression of just how precise you have to be through the Road Atlanta S's. It is not hold it flat and through you go. It is, you've really got to be super accurate, and well, Tomasz Simon putting on a masterclass so far already in the opening laps here. But we ride back on board with Ascari Rinna, looking at his familiar Andre Lotterer replica helmet, which I was always a big fan of that helmet, which Oskari wears. But you can see he's getting a little bit of a run here as Oskari Rinne on Gernot Fritzsche. Now, is it enough of a run to make a move on the brakes? He moves to the inside. No, Gernot's much later on the brakes and holds the position.
Oh, but it was a poor exit from Fritzsche. And there's the over-under. Oh, some grass under Oskari Rinne costs him as they come down the front stretch. He had to really hold on to it over the crest.
Once again, another quick lap there from Thomas Simon. 1 minute 10.0, 4/10 of a second faster than Bernstoff that time around. We're right on board with Michael de Turk, the New Yorker, in the Villiger Kiel cigar machine. I'm sure, well, of course, this Road Atlanta circuit has a little bit of a history of, should we say, people who sell things that you would smoke, but maybe not of the same kind as Villiger Kiel.
We'll get into that later, hopefully. We're right on board with de Turk now, still watching Tolinen. Now, we've seen Tolinen develop a reputation here of being quick in a straight line, really taking a lot of wing out of the car. So I'm not expecting Michael to gain on him much down the back stretch. In fact, I think we got another shot ahead of him. Yeah, there we see it now as Rinne pokes his nose on Fritzsche, but he's not as brave into that chicane. Look at them absolutely slide the cars in there.
Wow, these cars have just got so much performance, and you have to really put a lot of almost blind faith in them at times. As Thomas Simon knocks down, he's already underneath the 1 minute 10, and he is clearing off a 2-second advantage already. We've only completed 4 laps. Absolutely incredible. And well, if anybody does have the pace, you've got to think that maybe Oskari Rinne is the driver who potentially has pace to match, but he can't really deploy it right now. And this is a kind of typical Road Atlanta issue, Joe, that unless you can get that move done into turn 10, the other overtaking opportunities are pretty scarce.
There really are. Not many slow corners or heavy braking zones around this circuit. You can see how closely he's following Fritzsche, but Rinne ruined that horrible start off the line. He's been stuck in this train that's being led by Bernstorff in P2 and just tantalizingly close to Fritzsche. He's not as close as he was last lap, so I'm not expecting anything here. But it seems like Gernot has been struggling at times coming off of the chicane. Let's see. Yeah, once again, look at how slow he is compared to the number 2.
Yeah, and it seems perhaps that maybe Gernot's got the car geared maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more trimmed out. It doesn't seem that Oskari can make much of an impression on Gernot on the straight, but as soon as they get into the twistier parts, Rinne, look at this, he's just all over the back of, gee whiz, over the back of Gernot Fritzsche there. We look back for the battle for the outside of the top 10. We've got Ovi Trengrid there in the beautiful white and red Honda Japan machine, Parigi in the Alfa Romeo, the red car, and then also Timo Karolainen in the Elf Renault.
Yeah, this is another train starting at 9th with Tobias Gerber up at the front of it. Ooh, a little poke out as Parigi tries to defend. Karolainen is going to stick it in down into turn 6. There's one of those rare opportunities to pass that you mentioned, but he might have it paid right back as they come onto the backstretch.
I tell you what, I love the simplicity of this this paint scheme here for Juan Bustamante. It's like the Batmobile with just everything black. That just looks menacing in your rear view mirror. And here we go. Karolainen's going to try and have a look on the brakes. They go side by side. You've got to be so careful. You have to make sure you've got it done before sneaking ahead. And Karolainen does get it done. Really, really nice, well set up move.
Fantastic from the number 17. As someone who tends to paint his cars mostly black, I am a fan. It is an intimidating color with good reason. Down into turn 1 once again. Karolainen gets 11th with that, and we haven't missed any change up in the battles that we were watching before with 2nd through 5th. We're going to hop on board with Seppa here, though, in the meantime, who is almost at the back of that group. They've been joined by another one. It looks like Nicola Kochi, who didn't have the best qualifying we've seen from him, gather himself up and catch onto the tail of this train.
Yeah, they seem to be just maybe stacking up a little bit. Gernot Fritzsche, maybe the cork in the bottle, that's a collector's item. I don't think I'd ever be saying that Gernot Fritzsche was holding people up. But this is the standard that we have here in the Lotus 79 series. But that being said, Bernstorff hasn't really been able to move ahead of Fritzsche either, but the only guy that's actually making real forward progress is Thomas Simon, who just keeps building on that lead at the front.
Certainly, as he's got 3.1 seconds right now. There you see the number 3 car just plugging away. Again, has only been beat a single time if he shows up to race. That's the only reason we even had a close championship, I feel, as otherwise he's just been racking them up, and the drop weeks came in handy to allow him some wiggle room. Otherwise, I almost think we would have seen Fritzsche leading the way here at the end, as Fritzsche is certainly not leading the way here in this group. He's still stuck behind Emil Bernstorff. They come onto the backstretch once again. Everybody trying to get that good exit, and all 5 cars are all in a row with none of them gaining much of an advantage. Fritzsche, though, ooh, he might have a good chance. Maybe he's finally got the run. Bernstorff starts to defend, doesn't cover completely. Fritzsche gets his nose in, gets the overlap, but now he's going to have to outbrake him into the corner. He doesn't quite do it. Emil comes back at him, looks for the over-under, almost gets into him, and it collects 3 cars behind altogether. Seppa, Rinna, and Kochian unable to avoid the checkup.
Oh, that was just a domino effect there. We're going to get another look at it here, thanks to our producer, Ryan Bauer. Okay, so let's see. So it looks like Gernot Fritzsche's got enough of a run. He's actually passed before they hit the brakes, but then Bernstorff much later on the brakes, but then that, of course, compromised his exit. He has a little bit of a slide. That checks up Fritzsche, and it sets off a, oh, dear me, sets off a big one behind. And Seppa and Oskari Rinna, well, their days, I don't think they'll be completely done, but will be certainly a lot more difficult.
Watching it from Rinna's perspective, yeah, if I was him, I wouldn't have expected that big of a checkup either. And when he had to get out of it, everybody behind just had less and less time to react, and that's what spun all 3 of them out. So that changes our order a little bit. Tolinen gets promoted to 4th, but he's a ways behind Fritzsche. De Turk is up to 5th, and he's no longer behind Fritzsche because they are side by side. Oh, and Fritzsche still can't get the job done. Great defense from the number 5 up to this point.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Emil Bernstorff. Really good stuff. And of course, this is quite important for the championship as well, with the John Player Special Lotus team. But of course, Severi Seppa, who was the other driver in the Lotus John Player team, is obviously hit problems. So, and actually looking at the timing screen here, looks like Seppa's dropped right down to, well, I think he's done.
Yeah, it looks like he is in pit lane. Now, he could return if the damage isn't too much, but instead we are looking at this battle between Trangarade attacking on Tobias Gerber. He's going to get to the inside of turn 6. Gerber offline. That means that Karjalainen can get another move done there. He's going to get into 9th. Will another driver get by? No. Gerber stops the bleeding before Bustamante can go through.
So we ride on board then with Alessandro Parigi on the back straight. This huge long back straight, which they actually used to land aircraft here in the late 1970s. Whoa, as you see, that's a big lunge there from Bustamante, and somehow he's kept that car on the circuit.
I don't know if it was a defense or attack, though.
I think it was a mistake, is what they call that.
Really, and stays in position. Look at them behind them. That's Sanchez down to the inside. Can he get it done through turn 1? A very fast corner, but it compresses up into the blind 2 and 3. Parigi holds him off. Oh my goodness, it is a very tight fight, and someone's off in front of them. That was Karjalainen. The 17 spins it out of turn 3 and finds the barriers.
Well, those barriers, they've got quite a membership of people who have crashed into that barrier, I can assure you. Let's see, so it's going side by side into turn 1 with Trangarade. Trangarade giving him plenty of space, lets him go. Karjalainen, yep, as soon as, that wasn't even that big a curb strike, and what happens is the air gets underneath the car, and well, that magic carpet of aerodynamics gone, and whoosh, nothing he could have done there. As soon as he hit the curb, it's game over.
Didn't have a big hit into the tires, so he's able to keep going. As we come back live, And we're watching from third with Freesia. Let's head back, actually, to Sanchez, because I think he just got the spot over Parigi this time. And unfortunately for Parigi, the job's not done, because Hankel is now hot on his tail.
No, the job is certainly not done. And the thing is, you cannot afford to even make the slightest of mistake here, because there's such a cast of drivers in the midfield. If you look at it, I mean, really, only 10 seconds covering from 5th all the way through to 15th. So the mid-pack is brutally competitive. It's just thinning out a little bit more at the front, but this is incredible. It's like lap 1 here. There's just no separation at all between these drivers.
Shaning forcing Hankel to go defensive in turns 6 and 7. Could get the over-under onto the back stretch. No, just doesn't get the power down. Look at this train of cars. This is getting ridiculous. At the front of him, that is Trangrade, easily able to overtake Kochi. Now, Kochi is damaged. Remember, he got involved in that incident, and it's hurting his straight line speed, causing Gerber a chance to maybe get by down to the chicane. Nope. The Italian is going to be strong under braking, but I don't think he'll be able to hold him off for long.
Yeah, I think Kochi is carrying huge front-end damage there as well. I wonder how long he will... Oh, it's Bustamante on the grass. Oh, keep the wheel straight. Woof. Well,
contact, and that's going to send Kochi off, and he's into the barrier. Oh, that just went south from the beginning, unfortunately, and that might be his day over. So the new order with that is Parigi up to 10th, with Bustamante in 11th, Hankel in 12th, and Shaning in 13th. Here's the incident again. Now, how did Bustamante wind up on the right side? I looked away for a split second here.
Well, Bustamante, so he kind of has to exit stage right to avoid contact with the car in front, but actually, Kochi makes... Now, who was that he made contact with?
That was Sanchez, was it?
I think you're right, yes. Xavier Sanchez. So let's get a look from the back of Sanchez's car. Oh, there he is. Off he goes. Well, Kochi's, like you say, Kochi's day going from bad to worse there.
And I can report Seppa has now officially retired from the race. One more look from above. Yeah, Bustamante's almost lucky that he kept hold of that car, because that could have been disaster there. And now Kochi is in pit lane taking repairs. Not sure if he'll really be able to return. He was a little bit heated after that incident. We come back live, and we're watching from Sanchez, now running all the way up in 8th position. This is a guy that started in 16th. Now, he's taken a little bit of advantage of drivers around him having issues, but this is an impressive run. We're only 14 laps in. We're not even halfway there.
Very impressive indeed, and we have had a bit of a, I would say, a pretty high attrition rate, but that is very much the nature of Road Atlanta. It's part of the challenge of getting a good result here. It's just getting the car to the finish is tricky enough as it is. It's such a challenging circuit. So we're right on board with Dennis Shanning, currently running in 12th position here, and you're getting right up to the top end of top gear here. And of course, these Lotus 79s, proper Grand Prix machines, you can get in there and tweak the gear ratios how you wish. So, whoa, wow, Shanning was so late on the brakes there, and that was Henkel in front, and Henkel probably saw this car appearing in the mirrors at breakneck speed, thinking, oh dear, here comes a clash, but they managed to get through clean.
Almost had a Jurassic Park moment. Objects in the mirror may be closer than they appear. Henkel retains 11th. And in front of them, it's been a tight fight as well. If anything, this train that we've been watching has not separated, even though we've lost a couple cars from it, and somebody was off there. That is, I think that was Williams? Yeah, Paul Williams, unfortunately, finds himself losing a couple spots, cutting the course.
Yeah, well, that is Paul Williams in the Tyrrell machine. There's plenty of timber around here to take home back to the Ken Tyrrell Timber Yard, where they made those Grand Prix machines. Riding on board with Andreas Henkel, with the that's nice to see the 7 stars on top the Michael Schumacher replica helmet there.
Indeed, he's trying to chase Bustamante up in front of him, but Juan is focused on Alessandro Parigi, who's since been overtaken by Sanchez earlier in this race. The number 8 up in front of a quartet of cars, past the start-finish line down towards turn 1. gaining actually quite a bit on that stretch. Parigi looks quick along that portion of the track. Let's see if he's quicker through 2 and 3, one of the critical places. He's a little offline, and that's going to allow Bustamante to gain quite a bit on him.
That it will do, yeah. We're approaching half race distance here at Road Atlanta, so the drivers will now start to be, they'll be sweating, don't worry, behind their rigs. They will be really you've got to watch out for the sweaty palms. A good pair of driving gloves certainly helps as well right now in these sort of high pressure situations. But Juan Bustamante, he's been certainly the most exciting driver on track today, Joe.
Absolutely. Now, we don't need a replay, but I can report that the number 15 of Timothy Reed unfortunately had a spin also in turn 3 and found the barrier slightly, but he's able to keep moving up at the top of the field. You saw it at the top of your screen. Shimon goes purple and sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yep, he was just eclipsing the best lap time of Bernstoff there, who had been the fastest up to that point, but just a couple of hundreds in it. To look at Paul Williams chasing down Alexis Tapia Vico in the Martini-sponsored Lotus 79. Of course, that was at a time when Martini were beginning to end their long, well, over a decade-long partnership with Porsche and going back into the Formula One fold.
Yeah, remember that Paul Williams is slightly out of position now because of his mistakes, so he's working hard to try and snatch that back. Oh, we got to go back to Bustamante. He's on the inside of Hankel. This is through 6 and 7. And they come onto the backstretch. A big slide from Parigi. If it weren't for those cars battling behind him, he would be gobbled up here along the backstretch. Still, Hankel gets the better run. And Juan is having to duck back into his slipstream. Can he get a good opportunity down to the braking of the chicane? Doesn't have the top speed, barely has the overlap. They come into the corner, and he is going to snatch that one up.
Good move there from Juan Bustamante. Didn't panic too much on the straight, just made sure and set the move up well, and he moves forward up into the top 10, and Henke will have to try and recover from that. We have now hit half race distance here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. I have to say, Joe, this has got to be one of my favourite circuits in North America. It's just the contours, the flowing nature of it, the speed, the history is just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
One of my favourite tracks to drive for sure. And we jump back to the battle between Vico, Williams, and Alcalde, as they've also got Karjalainen, another driver out of position, who's catching up and unfortunately doesn't have the speed to try and attack Alcalde, even though he pokes his nose in. Out of turn 7, oh, Miguel was very slow off the corner, and here sets up a perfect opportunity for the 17. Let's watch from the roll hoop.
So yeah, you get a great idea of the speed here as well and how to set up that move. Karjalainen's got a really good run. Can he get it done? No, he kind of hits a little bit of a blank wall of air there. And oh, he's going to try and go in late. That's very late. Oh, be careful. That's so tight through there. But Karjalainen toughs it out on the outside and gets the move done, Joe. Wow. He couldn't have left that any later. And Alcalde actually did well not to end up in contact there.
Made him work for it, that's for sure. So Timo up to 15th as they slide through turn 1. And now Vico is in front of him. Meanwhile, we head up to the battle between Parigi, Bustamante, Hankel, and Schoening. This is for 9th position amongst this group. Juan clearly not afraid to bust a move today, as he's made some impressive attempts at overtakes, and some of them successful and some not so. Let's see what he can do down the backstretch this time. I don't think he's got the run he needs to get up to Alessandro.
It's a brilliant name, isn't it? Bustamante. I love it. There used to be a very good 9-ball pool player called Francisco Bustamante, and his breaks were legendary. The balls go flying off the table. It was spectacular to watch.
As an old school hip hop fan, I had to get that joke in there somewhere.
I noticed that. Yeah, you couldn't help yourself.
But Juan still has Hankel trying to challenge him, and he's not been mistake-free. We didn't see it on air, but I did notice him have a big slide through turn 5. It's actually very lucky he didn't lose the car a couple laps ago, and this has allowed Hankel to continue to put pressure on as we weave through the S's.
Yeah, you can see the drivers there having to just be so careful not to get was Bustamante. Interesting, taking a lot of curb there.
Oh, yeah, and they are getting close to Parigi as well. But as that happened, we had an incident with Timo Karjalainen. Not sure what happened to the Finn. I'm trying to check. Oh, it was a single car incident. He spun it into turn one and took a big shot into the barriers.
Well, another one bites the dust here. At the moment, only 17 cars on the lead lap, and a couple of big names there off the lead lap as well, retired from the race, as we see Oskari Rinne making a run here on the recovery, of course, don't forget, on now trying to go by on Michael de Turk, and despite the damage on that car, he's got front wing damage. Oh, be careful. Oh my goodness, they go side by side down the S's. How is that? Oh, this usually ends in tears. Oh, this is making me very nervous. Oh my word. Well,
how did they do that?
Well, I think that is a perfect exhibition of just A, the respect in this series, and B, the skill.
I swear every single time I've seen pass attempts into turns 2 and 3, it's had to settle in someone's favor by the time they hit the S's. Let's look at the replay. I've never seen cars manage to hold side by side this long at this track. This is just stunning stuff.
That it is, yeah. I think you need two very willing parties for that to happen, but also neither de Turk nor Rinne were happy to give this one away lightly, and they go around turn one side by side up the hill. Now bear in mind, this is blind entry going in here as well, so you're taking a little bit of a leap of faith. Rinne gets loose going through turn 3, and 99 times out of 100, one if not both of those cars would end up in the fence.
Just incredible stuff, and that gives Rinne the spot. Had to work hard, but he is up to 5th, and it was important because as we come back live, you can see the distance he's put between himself and the 11. So he was definitely being held up slightly, and has demoted Michael to P6. It's going to be a little bit of a gap up to Tolinen, as it's almost 4 seconds up in front of him. Much better fight here on screen. This is Hankel, who is now working for 9th place. Parigi just in front of him, but he's got to watch out. If he makes an attempt behind him, Bustamante is still watching.
Of course, Alessandro Parigi, one of our drivers who joins us in the Grand Prix Legends series here on the Global SimRacing Channel every Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We have our break week next week, but back in 2 weeks' time for a brand new season. Now, it must be a year of, it must be a season of all-out domination, Joe, because of course Thomas Simone has more or less won every race he's entered in this series, the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix series. Now, in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends series, Mick Claridge won all 100% of the races he entered as Bustamante. Oh dear, big hip check to Henkel there. Nothing Henkel could do. And oh, he is in the grass and likely all the way into the fence. Oh, that is a pity.
Just nerfed off, unfortunately. We're going to watch the replay. To be fair, I almost think this is a racing incident, but I will say that it looks like Bustamante could have been a little closer to the apex, but making a pass in turn 1 is always going to be dangerous.
It just seemed that I think you're spot on there, Joe. I think it was Bustamante in there a little bit hot, and yeah, when you go to the inside, I think it's your responsibility not to hit the car on the outside. But yeah, that's a bit. I gutted for Henkel there because there's not a great deal he could do. Bustamante carries on, but yes, carrying on with what I was saying. Alessandro Parigi, of course, here racing in this series, but Mick Claridge, who won every single race he entered in the Lotus 49 series, the Grand Prix Legend series this season, he hinted in his post-race interview yesterday, Joe, that he's considering a shot with these Lotus 79s next season.
Ah, that would be fun to watch. And I think he has competed here before, just haven't seen him in a full season. Watching from onboard Gernot Frische, he hasn't given up on Bernstorff, but despite a couple pass attempts, there's nothing that's allowed him to be fully through and by. He closes in down into the braking of the chicane. He's still got 12 laps to go, this time by at the line.
It boggles my mind how much corner speed they carry through there. You think it's almost like a bus stop chicane, but they almost, well, they make it look a little bit, they make it look easy, but it really isn't. You're on the brakes from such high speed, and the way that, one thing that also amazes me there, Joe, is these top guys, both Bernstorff and Freesia, is how little lateral movement they have. You know, how they keep the car so steady, even though you've got quite an aggressive change of direction there, but the car is so stable and smooth. It's a joy to watch.
Certainly is fun, and we watch from on board Vico, another Champions helmet here that we've got competing today. Lewis Hamilton homage, as Vico trying to catch up to Alcalde. They've been passed by Williams, who's regained a few of his spots since his incident, up to 12th, actually from an 18th starting position. So this has been quite a climb for the number 16 car.
Good run there from Paul Williams. That's for sure. Also Miguel Alcalde there. And I have to say that is about as 80 as a paint scheme as you get. That paint scheme that Miguel Alcalde is in kind of looks more like a 1980s tracksuit than racing paint scheme.
I love it. Now, you talked about the way these cars carry speed through that chicane. Another interesting thing for you is that chicane used to not be, it was just a straight run from turn 7 into the final turn. Imagine doing that with these cars if this was period accurate.
Well, actually, the chicane was only built in 1997, which is crazy. You know, it was just a year after Dr. Don Penoz bought the circuit and really brought it right up to scratch. It had been neglected quite a lot, to be honest, before that by, shall we say, a stream of questionable owners. And now it's a questionable move, and Bustamante, oh dearie me, well, busted bodywork there. It's. And Trengrade actually coming out the power there in the white Honda just to not come on the scene too quickly. And oh dear, that's Bustamante. He must be getting close on the incident point limit.
Yeah, you have to worry about that. And Dennis Shaney's not too concerned, as he's going to grab 8th very easily from that one. Let's watch one more time. And this is a perfect example of what we were talking about before, Peter, that moves into turns 2 and 3 take so much respect and don't often end well.
No, they don't. No, it's sort of a kind of one-line corner, really. I mean, what we saw with Oskari Rin and Michael de Turk was not normal. I hope our reaction got that across. But as they come up through turn 1, you can't stress this enough how much this is a blind braking and entry spot here. And Bustamante just gets up the curb a little bit, and but at the end of the day, it's his responsibility not to run into the car in front, and there was no way, curb or not, where I don't think he was avoiding that incident either way.
Well, that makes me think twice on it, because I thought it was a pass attempt, but it looked to me that it was more a case of him just getting that curb. We see one more look at it, and I think he lost control on the way in. Yeah, it's still his responsibility, but it wasn't a wild dive of him attempting to try and get by. We're going to take a look at Freesia. Is he finally through? Yes, he is. He's managed to overtake Bernstorff, and he is finally up into 2nd, and looks like he's not going to be challenged into turn 3. Sometimes drivers, oh no, he is. He makes a mistake, and he hands it right back. Oh no.
Gernot Freak should be lucky not to get away with a bit of floor damage there as well. We'll see. There's maybe a tiny bit of front wing too. We'll see. But after all the hard work, he'd worked at it all race long, Joe, and then it all comes unstuck.
And there you see he's finally gotten through. I had failed to notice that we weren't on replay anymore. We had 2 cars that were similarly painted, and they passed into the chicane, and then it went right back to Bernstorff in turn 3. Says, thank you very much. That'll give me not only 2nd, but a big gap down to Gernot.
So we go back to Alcalde now in 13th spot. Obi Trengrade there in the white and red Honda in 12th, with Alexis Tapiavico in 14th in the beautiful green Martini machine. with of course, the red and blue stripes as well. Can't be without those if you're on a Martini livery as well. But a little bit of a gaggle appearing here with Alexis Tapia, Vico, Alcalde, Trengrid and Paul Williams on a really strong run. And I tell you what, Paul Williams here could be on for an overall top 10, Joe.
Absolutely, and I think that's an easy overtake there for Miguel. Yep, he's going to go by Trengrid. Trengrid must be suffering from some top-end loss, as he was passed by Williams last lap as well. And Vico looks like he might have an easy time here. No, I thought he could get a run down the front stretch. Interesting you mentioned that green Martini livery. I believe that was the 1980 livery for the Lotus team. Which would be the year that they tried the weird double chassis version of the car.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. And that's when Porsche and Martini, they had such a long-standing relationship that it was stopped. And actually, Martini went to go with Lancia in sports cars as well. And then, of course, in the arguably what they're most famous for, the Lancia rally cars.
Bustamante just went off.
Oh. Now, forgive me that there was almost not inevitability, but I'm not surprised, because Bustamante was certainly the most eye-catching driver on screen today.
Yeah, I think this is some of the latent damage that was in the car, because he was all on his own. Here he comes through the corner. Yeah, he's in hot. Car couldn't hold on, and off he goes.
Yep, well, it's certainly given us plenty of entertainment, has Juan Bustamante. So, back on board now with Emil Bernstoff in second, and Gernot Fritzsche not able to really make much of an impression back after that mistake. And this has been an absolutely superb drive from Bernstoff. It took a long, oh, geez. I thought he was going to lose it there. Oh, I thought he was losing it there, but I think he'll probably say, "Oh yeah, I meant that, no problem." But yes, it has been a really good drive from Emil Bernstoff to hold off Gernot Fritzsche for so long, and then when Fritzsche got by, he made a mistake straight away. We'll see if he can hang it on just another 6 laps. And I'm going to stop talking.
I was going to say, commentators curse, man. Stop saying how good of a job he's doing. Nearly lost it twice. And Emil Bernstoff gives the gap right back to Gernot Fritzsche. The battle is on. Another little bobble coming over turn 5. Fritzsche gave it back because of a mistake. Is he going to have the favorite turn? He takes a look in a 6. And even though he's given space, he isn't brave enough to get it done.
Okay, I've now put my face mask on so I can talk about Emil Bernstoff without passing over the commentator's curse, as well as we see Gernot Fritzsche now into the draft, and he's got a run, and you've got to think that Gernot's maybe got that, he's got that little bit of extra motivation. Look how big a run he's got here. He moves to the outside, Bernstoff goes to the defence on the inside, and still, I tell you what, Bernstoff is so good into turn 10.
And I really do think that Fritzsche is struggling on those slow corners, because usually we see an over-under coming out of the chicane with moves like that, and Gernot was nowhere to be seen as Emil continues to fend him off. We're now down to 5 laps to go, and the pressure continues to be on between these two. They've got a big gap back to Tolinen. They can afford to fight, but they can't afford to lose it too heavily.
We go right on board with Oskari Rinne, who's really who Jukka Tolinen has got to worry about right now. And Rinne has got to look at the amount of damage he's got on that front wing. It's really bent out of shape. That's going to be hurting him everywhere. It's going to hurt him on the straights. It's going to hurt him in the corners as well. And we know, don't we, from previous rounds, Joe, that Tolinen, he likes running a low drag setup. We saw it at Bathurst, didn't we, where he's got a dragster in a straight line. So this is going to be hard work for Oskari Rinne, and as I say that, he gets a run on. I'll be quiet now.
Well, I mean, he's still got to get the move done. As soon as he pokes that nose out, he's not going to be quick compared to Tolinen, I doubt. And yeah, look at that. He still can't do anything. He starts to drop back immediately. Brakes a lot earlier, but Tolinen brakes too late. Throws it away, scares him off the track. Oskari is going to get 4th place with that one.
Well, so Oskari Rinne back into 4th position again, and meanwhile, Thomas Simone, it doesn't really matter if he's got a 1 second lead or a 100-second lead, he will still be going absolutely flat out. And you look at his lap times, he's in the low 109s right now. He's knocking out 109.2, 109.3, 109.4. It's seemingly for fun. And he's got 10 seconds back. He doesn't need to be doing those sort of qualifying pace lap times. But this guy, Joe, when he gets in his groove, he just cannot be taken out of it.
Well, in 3 of his wins, he took maximum points. So I think he wants to get this fastest lap, which he does currently hold, as we watch from Gernot Frische. You could snatch it away if he gets a good slipstream and makes the pass. He gets a really stalking lap out here. We're going to be 3 to go. No, we're down to 4 to go. No, we are 3 to go. Excuse me. Just updated on our timing and scoring. And across the line, Bernstorff still not challenged coming out of the final few corners. Frisch is going to have to do something special to make this one work.
That he is, but he is a special driver, so don't write him off. But as you can see, there's that we suspected that Gernot Frische might have had front end damage from that little, and it was hardly an off-track excursion at all. And look at that front wing, that is bent a little bit out of shape. It won't be causing him huge problems, Joe, but it will be causing him enough of a problem to make this a very tall order to get back on Emil Bernstorff.
Williams just lost a spot as we hop over to him. Alcalde manages to sneak that away through the final chicane, but here comes Williams. Great example of what I was talking about. You get a run when you pull that over under, and he's going to look into the inside of turn 1, but he doesn't have the guts to make it stick.
I tell you who did was Alcalde there. My goodness me, he threw it in there late. He's been really, really exciting driver is Alcalde, and into 10th, but Paul Williams desperately trying to get that last spot in the top 10. What a great way to sign off the season. That would be, of course, Paul Williams and his regular teammate Barry West usually here. It's strange that we've not got Barry with us this week, Joe. That's very unusual.
Well, it was a small split. I wonder if Barry maybe just missed out. Let's take a look at the replay on that pass, which just as we go to it, it's going to go right back to Williams, it appears. Down into it. Wow, oh, they nearly made contact into that first apex. If we come back live now, and they are going to make it happen all over again, and it's Williams on the defense around the outside and into the corner, cutting quite a lot of it. Alcalde is still going to retain the spot. Is he going to get a penalty for that? No, looks like he's clear. Vico also going by Williams.
Okay, 2 to go here at Road Atlanta. That's not long at all, just over a minute around in these cars. This Lotus 79, it fairly devours this Brazilian Georgia gem in short order as we see, goodness me, Thomas Simon 109.2. That is absolutely blistering pace, qualifying pace. Could we maybe see a 108 to to sign off the season? That would be stylish, wouldn't it, Joe?
Yeah, that would be stunning. He's actually not too far behind this battle that we're watching on screen. You can see we've already taken the white flag. Let's stick with this, though, and see if they're gonna change spots once again. Don't forget, Vico started this thing in 17th. He's on a charge. He's looking for a top 10 here if he can manage it.
Well, we'll see. This is their penultimate lap. They haven't started the final lap yet, of course. That is being shown for our leader, Thomas Simon. But they go through in an orderly fashion to hit onto their final lap here for Alcalde, Vico, and Williams. And I tell you what, Alcalde, once he's got that clean air, he's rapid.
Final lap for Thomas Simon. He approaches the checkered flag. It has been an incredible season, only losing one race that he has shown up for victory at Road Atlanta. Ahead of Bernstorff, who's trying to hold off Frische on this final run, and he's going to do it. Great defense from the 5 as Frische gets denied, and Bustamante just behind them a lap down after all is said and done.
Yeah, that's certainly an eventful race for Bustamante, but what can Alexis Tapia Vico do? Can he get that last spot on the podium from his Mediterranean rival here? In the draft they go over the crest of the hill and down towards turn 10. It's really the last chance saloon. And I tell you what, it doesn't look like Vico's going to be close enough right now, Joe. In fact, he's got to worry about Williams behind, who's got a great run.
Williams is looking quick, and he's going to try and send it in down to the chicane. He's given space. He could pull the over-under here as well, especially with a mistake from Vico like that, coming up and out of the chicane. Down the hill, he'll retain it, but just barely, and he takes 11th. Oh boy, what a race. That's the last of our cars to cross the line. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We just watched the season finale for the Sunday Grand Prix series here in the Lotus 79 community. And it was Tomas Simon who took an 8th victory out of 9 appearances and seals up his championship, with Emil Bernstorff having earned a very well-fought second place over Gernot Frische. He went up a couple spots, but I think Gernot maybe would have at least wanted a second today. It was not to be. Askari Rinna up and down the order, and in the end, he still finished 4th despite starting on the front row. His bad start really cost him. Jukka Tolinen with a 5th was ahead of Michael de Turk, gaining 4 spots from his starting position. And then you've got Xavier Sanchez in 7th, up from 16th. Alessandro Parigi finishing in 8th, and Dennis Shaning in 9th. Miguel Alcalde didn't get a lap in, went from 20th, dead last in the field, to wind up in the top 10.
Alexis Tapio Vico finished in 11th, followed by Paul Williams, Ovi Tringrade, Juan Bustamante and Tobias Gerber coming to join us from the Camel GT series. Timothy Reed was 16th, followed by Andreas Henkel, Timo Karalainen, Mikko Kochi and Severi Seppa.
And that leaves us to interview our 3rd place finisher, Gernot Frische, who's joined us. And Gernot, you gave it your best shot, but it seemed that Bernstorff just was a little bit better today. You had him for a couple times, a brief while you were ahead of him, and a mistake handed it back. If it wasn't for your error in turn 3, do you think you could have held him off?
It's really hard to answer because it was such a close race, and yeah, we had pretty much the same pace. So I think the car behind always had a slight advantage due to the draft. So yeah, even if I wouldn't have made that mistake, probably he would have been able to fight back maybe on the next straight. So it was an exciting race.
Now, you had a bit of a wild moment at one point where you nearly got into the back of Emil, and you caused a checkup behind you. Talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah, I think I could brake a little bit later in the last chicane, and Emma also had a little mistake there. So I was able to avoid him. On the other hand, I think the guys behind me got into trouble as well. Don't know exactly what happened, but I'm sorry for everyone who really got the the short end of the stick there.
Yeah, obviously not intended, but sometimes those things happen. Well, you didn't take the championship this season. Are you off for a break next season, or are you coming back to try and redeem yourself?
I'll be back. It's been a great season, very fun season as well. And yeah, actually, I've been doing much better than last time. So yeah, I'm quite motivated. On the other hand, yeah, Tamas was class of the field again, and yeah, huge congrats to him because he was really dominating, and basically there was no way to get by him really.
Going to take an extra special effort, it looks like. Well, congratulations still on a third today and a second in the championship at least.
Yeah, nice one. So thank you very much, guys, for doing great broadcasts all season long. It's really fun to watch these afterwards. So yeah, see you all guys next season.
That was Gernot Friesche, third today on the track. And I think that's going to wrap up our interviews, it looks like, as I haven't seen anybody else show up to say hi today. So we're going to thank the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. But also we have to thank the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts, which you see listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Peter, Ryan, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store linked below, gsrc.storeenvy.com. And don't forget, while you're down there, to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. It's time for Week 13, a little bit of a break. It'll be March 21st, 11:30 a.m. Eastern when we return. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.